In a small, peaceful village nestled at the foot of the Blue Mountains, there was a legend. For generations, villagers whispered of a terrifying dragon that lived deep within the mountains, hoarding treasure and terrorizing anyone who dared to come close. The beast hadn't been seen for years, but its shadow loomed over the people, a symbol of fear and untamed power. George, a humble blacksmith's son, had grown up hearing the tales. Unlike most villagers, however, George was not afraid. He had always dreamed of proving himself worthy of more than just swinging a hammer. He longed for adventure, and perhaps a chance to banish the dragon for good. One crisp autumn morning, news spread through the village like wildfire. The dragon had been spotted. Smoke billowed from the mountain's peak, and the villagers trembled in fear. Some began packing their belongings, ready to flee, but George stood tall. His heart raced with a sense of purpose. "I will slay the dragon," George declared to the astonishment of the villagers. They stared at him, wide-eyed, but no one stepped forward to stop him. In truth, they had long awaited a hero, though few believed George was the one. Armed with only his father's finest sword and a shield emblazoned with the symbol of courage, George set out on his perilous journey to the dragon's lair. As he climbed the steep mountain paths, the air grew colder, and the ground beneath him began to tremble. He could hear the dragon's roar in the distance, like thunder rolling through the clouds. When George finally reached the mouth of the cave, his heart pounded. The cavern was enormous, with jagged rocks lining its entrance. Inside, the dragon lay coiled around a mound of glittering gold and jewels, its scales shimmering like fire in the dim light. The beast's eyes glowed as it sensed George's presence. With a deep, rumbling growl, the dragon rose, its wings unfurling like dark storm clouds. "Who dares disturb my slumber?" it bellowed, its voice echoing through the cave. "I am George, and I have come to free my people from your tyranny," George shouted, though his voice trembled slightly. He gripped his sword tightly, raising his shield as the dragon snarled. The dragon lunged at him, flames spewing from its maw. George barely managed to raise his shield in time to deflect the fire, but the force of the attack sent him sprawling. Undeterred, he scrambled to his feet, charging at the dragon with all his might. The dragon swiped at him with its massive claws, but George was quick. He dodged and weaved, striking at the dragon's scales, but the beast seemed impervious to his blade. Just as despair began to creep into George's heart, he noticed something. Beneath the dragon's mighty wings, there was a small, unprotected spot. A weak point. Summoning every ounce of courage, George feigned retreat, drawing the dragon's attention to his left side. Then, with a burst of speed, he darted beneath the dragon's wing, thrusting his sword into the vulnerable spot. The dragon let out a deafening roar of pain, thrashing wildly, but George held firm. He twisted the blade, and with a final, mighty effort, the dragon collapsed. The cave fell silent. George stood over the fallen beast, panting and exhausted, but victorious. He had done it. The dragon was defeated. When George returned to the village, carrying the dragon's fiery scale as proof of his triumph, the people rejoiced. No longer would they live in fear. George, once a simple blacksmith's son, had become their hero. And though he could have claimed the dragon's treasure for himself, George asked for only one thing: the chance to help rebuild the village and protect it from whatever dangers might come next. And so, George's legend grew, not just as the one who slew the dragon, but as the protector of the people. His bravery and humility became a beacon of hope, inspiring generations to come.
If you liked our video, please subscribe and hit like button. Thanks.